Okay then, this is Rob Value. I thought I'd do a little video about something, the argument from ignorance. I've written about it on my website in detail. The first thing to say is that if you're saying you're making an argument from ignorance, you're not saying the other person is ignorant. It's not meant to be an insult, it's just the name of a logical fallacy, which is an error in thinking. So, it could have been called anything. It could have been called the backwards fallacy or anything. The fact that it's called the argument from ignorance doesn't mean it's an insult. But this is one of the most popular arguments, the idea of saying you can't prove it doesn't exist, therefore it's reasonable to assume it does exist. Or the similar one is I can't imagine any other way things could be, which is like the argument from incredulity, because I can't imagine something that can't be true. Well, the second one's a bit easier to address, is that things are either true or they're not, and it doesn't depend on whether any particular person can imagine it. Facts about the universe don't sit around wondering if people can imagine them, and if they can't, then they change to not being true. I think hopefully you can see that that's ridiculous, and whether someone can imagine things or not is going to depend on each person. So someone might be able to imagine it, someone can't. So is it true or not? Doesn't make any difference, does it? It might still be true, it might not. The fact that anyone can imagine it makes no difference. Obviously, if you can't imagine something, it's harder to think about it or make arguments about it, but that isn't an argument to say that it's false. Okay, so coming back to the actual argument for ignorance, there's lots of ways of showing how stupid it is, because I can say it about almost anything. I always go back to my dragon that is in my garage. I've got a dragon in my garage. It's not a normal dragon, you can't see it, it's metaphysical. There's no way of detecting it's there, but you can't prove it's not there. So how would you go about proving it's not there? Well, you can't. I've told you there's no way of detecting it whatsoever. So if you go in there, it's going to look and feel exactly the same as if there's nothing in there. So you can't prove that it's not there, but that's not a sensible way of going about things. The fact that I've made this ridiculous claim, and the only argument I'm offering is you can't prove it's not true, doesn't mean you should accept my argument. It means you should reject it, because it's a fantastical claim with no evidence. And people can make claims all the time which can't be proved wrong, and you could spend your whole life trying to disprove them. The thing is, you don't have to say, there's no need to say, no, you don't have a dragon in your garage, there's no need to go that far. All you can say is, well, I don't believe that you do. I'm not saying you're wrong, I'm saying that I don't believe there actually is one there, and that really is sufficient. Because if I can't produce any evidence, or give anything else apart from the argument for ignorance, then why should you take me seriously? So another reason why the argument for ignorance is so stupid is because, again, I come back to whether things are true or not. So, I say for example that I make a claim that there are no blue. There's no blue planets. Just as a silly example, right? I say, well, there's no blue planets, and I don't know if there are or not. So let's just pretend that we don't know of any, right? So I say there's no blue planets anywhere in the universe, and you say to me, well, there might be some somewhere, and I say, well, can you prove that there are? Can you prove that I'm wrong? And I go, well, no, because I haven't seen every planet in the universe, so I don't have all the information, so I can't prove you're wrong. So then you say, see, I'm right, so you can't prove me wrong. But the thing is, whether or not there is a blue planet somewhere doesn't depend on my ability to prove that it's there, or my knowledge about it. Okay, that wasn't the greatest example. So now let's go back to the dragon thing, right? So I was saying, have I got a dragon? And I'm saying to you, you can't prove it's not there. And, I say, so if you can't prove it's not there, it's reasonable for me to believe that it is there. Or it's true, in fact true that it is there. It is there, right? So either it's there or it's not. hopefully everyone would agree that either there really is a dragon there, or there isn't. It's one or the other. And if I'm asking people to prove me wrong, and I'm basing my decision of whether it's true or not on whether they can prove it wrong, then I've got a bit of a problem, because I can get as many people as I like in there who can't prove it wrong, and I'm saying it, therefore it's true. As soon as one person comes along who can prove it wrong, however he might be able to do that some way I've never thought of, then suddenly it's wrong. So that means that the truth depends on who I'm talking to, what they know, what they're able to do. Now, is that reasonable? Is it reasonable to say that the truth of things depends on who you're talking to and what they know? No, I don't think it is. So, I see the argument for ignorance all the time. You can't prove it isn't. It's not a valid argument. It is true most of the time when people say you can't prove it isn't. I would agree, no, I can't prove it isn't. But you are then implying that says, therefore, it is true or it's reasonable to believe it's true. No. That's the mistake. That's not the logical conclusion of it. The fact that I can't believe it doesn't exist doesn't tell me anything more than normally the fact that it actually can't be proved whether it exists or not. It's unfalsifiable, which makes it useless because it means you can't know anything about it either. If I've got no way of accessing it or testing it, then neither of you. So it's not a good argument. Please think about it and stop using it. You need to come up with positive arguments that back up your point of view, not trying to just assume something ridiculous is true and building a castle around it and then expecting people to infiltrate your castle and prove you wrong. Because again, in that analogy, it would depend on the invading force, wouldn't it? You say, my castle is right because it can't be invaded. Well, suddenly, a load of giant robots turn up that kick the crap out of your castle. You're like, see, I was wrong. Well, whether your castle is impenetrable or not, either it is or it isn't, it shouldn't depend on who turns up to try and kick it down. So I think that's enough for now. I hope this has been mildly annoying, and I'll see you soon. Bye.